So here it is, YouTube. I'm Roadhawk Wilson welcoming you into my home, and today we're going to be discussing the complicated family history of the Doom Patrol. With that, I'll see you in a sec. Here it is, YouTube. I'm going to be discussing the complicated family history of the Doom Patrol and what you need to know about these characters. First and foremost, with the long-standing history of the Doom Patrol comics and the several iterations, I'm going to be pulling largely from the family of the Doom Patrol in the actual Doom Patrol TV series. Now, if you haven't seen it and haven't caught up to season 2, there are going to be spoilers in this, but that's the point of this video. So here we go. First off, let's discuss Cliff. Cliff was someone who, in his origins, was a racer, a basically human scumbag who, through the actions of Niles Calder, resulted in a car accident and lost his family, or so he thought. He became Robot Man, and ultimately, I do have to say, is one of my top favorite characters in the show because he is the most human. He's left with only his brain, but all he really wants to do is get back to his daughter. Get back to his life that he used to have and be the person that he once was. And ironically, Cliff's body is made of steel and doesn't allow him a lot of human interaction. In the series, there's a lot of very comedic and awesome concepts in this, and the idea that like Cliff cannot orgasm when a sex demon appears, to the idea that he can't even feel human touch. And within recent episodes of the series, he actually reconnects with his daughter to a degree, who is proven to be alive. And this was proven to be a lie by Niles Calder to keep Cliff in the manor so he could examine him and study him and improve him. Now, the next example that I have is actually the complete opposite, which was Larry Traynor, someone who ultimately did not value his family enough, cared more about his career, but was a man lost in his own latent sexuality and couldn't quite appreciate who his family was because of who he was. He is a character who ultimately, throughout the progression of the series, has become much more enlightened and much more aware in his loss, as he basically comes to realize that his son became a conspiracy theorist, taking his own life. His surviving son hates him, and his wife died hating him as well. He is Mr. Negative, so his whole thing is that he is often a very negative human being. But Larry Traynor is an openly complex character, as he never got to live the life he really wanted to in public, and often has interactions with Danny Street citizens because of that. They are a group of people who live their lives in their best way, no matter how strange or abstract people might think they are, which really allows Larry to evolve and become a better person through the interactions with a sentient street. There's then Crazy Jane, who has probably the most traumatic example of abuse, neglect, and exploitation throughout the series. Her father, who's only known as Father in the series, created, I believe it's 69 different personas, and did so by torturing his daughter on a daily basis due to her own mental illness and the horrible life that he lived. But Jane has a very complicated, almost father like uncle relationship with Cliff, even though his interactions may be far more tied to his old ways. Cliff does seem to want to take care of Jane and really does seem to care about her, but Jane is distant towards most men, and largely because of Niles Calder and the various abuse she has taken over the years from men. In fact, many of her personas hate men due to the abuse that she has taken over the years, leading to a very complex dynamic between her, Negative Man, and Cliff Steele. Ultimately, finally, we're left with Rita, who has heavily been hinted to have given up her own child to pursue stardom, and it has had a heavy impact in her psyche in this series. Ultimately, this is something that she's been hinted not really wanting to have to do, but did so for her career. Rita is a very career driven, very vain character on the surface, but underlying is a very complex woman who really does want a family and is very closely tied to Negative Man or Larry Trainor as if he is a brother. This relationship is exemplified by Niles Calder, who treats Rita with a great deal of respect but continues to manipulate her throughout both seasons. Ultimately, this cohesive method of manipulation and lies leads Calder to create a pseudo family in which he is ultimately the patriarch of, and subsequently a very twisted father figure to many of the characters. However, at the same time, he does have a daughter in Dorothy, and this is where things get weird. He had a love affair with a mystic almost 100 or so years ago and had a child that he did not know of, almost seemingly for her own benefit, as Niles is often horrible to her, teasing her, mocking her, threatening to lock her away again, and ultimately terrified of her, as all she wants to be loved and to be with her father, as she spent many years in a circus being tortured and abused as well. She is very fond of Jane and Cliff, and in a lot of ways probably views them as an uncle and a aunt, and really, really does just want a simple, happy family. But this is the weird, dysfunctional family dynamic that is the Doom Patrol, and ultimately creates a very cohesive human example of how things are often not what we want them to be, but what they often are. With that, I hope this video was long enough. If you made it this far, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.